Good morning. Several years ago, a successful college football head coach divorced his wife of 26 years. He had just been given the job of coaching a team in the National Football League. He said he needed a wife while coaching on the college level for social functions and to show families that he would be looking out for their sons. He reasoned, however, that in pro football, his wife was an unnecessary accoutrement and a distraction to winning. He said winning football was his number one priority, and his two sons came in second. How sick. How tragic. But as Paul Harvey used to say, just wash your ears out with this next story. The August 1982 edition of Reader's Digest carried a touching story that focused on the things that really matter. It was soon after Angie and David's 6th anniversary that the couple's home burned to the ground. Angie said that her first act when they were allowed to hunt through the charred remains was to search for their photo albums. When she went to tell David that the pictures had indeed survived, she found him carefully placing in a box some charred, folded pieces of paper and their courtship love letters. She said as she watched her husband kneeling there in the ashes, she was overcome with the certainty that they were meant for each other. There in the face of their tragedy, their first thoughts weren't of material loss, but of the potential loss of these precious parts of their lives together. She concluded that as she knelt to help her husband with the letters, she was certain that they hadn't lost anything that couldn't be replaced. Isn't it amazing how we can all get caught up in our daily routines to the extent that we are blinded to everything else going on around us, including God and His goodness? I read a story about a little boy who was determined to have a talk with God. Yeah. So he packed some Twinkies and a couple cans of root beer and set out to find God. On the way, he saw an old man sitting in the park, feeding some pigeons. He sat down and took out a can of root beer. He noticed the old man looked hungry, so he offered him a Twinkie. The old man seemed glad to get it, so the boy gave him a can of pop. The old man just smiled and said thanks. They sat there until all the Twinkies had been devoured. So the little guy gave the man a hug and then headed for home. Mom asked how his trip had gone, and he said, "I had lunch with God." And did you know that God has the most beautiful smile? What was it Jesus taught? If you do a good deed to one of the very least of these, my followers, you have done it unto me. I'm Larry Hatfield. Good day.